Let's get going. We're going to go? Yeah. All right, good morning. Before I call this meeting to order, I'd like to note for the record that I will serve as the acting chairman for this meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, for Thursday, September 18th, 2014. The directors have received the written materials in advance of this meeting. They are free to ask questions at any time. As noted on the agenda posted on the Internet, we welcome public comment on the items on the following agenda. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each. Those representing may speak for up to 4 minutes. One speaker per group. Speakers' comments may address only items considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has a potential conflict of interest with respect to any item on today's agenda. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to the item. So if any director has a conflict or potential conflict, now is the time to come clean. Nothing? Okay. The foregoing having been noted for the record, I will now ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the August 27, 2014 Directors Meeting.
Move. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, the motion carries. So moved. Thank you. I will now ask Edmund Lee to present a brief summary of the project items on today's agenda. After Edmund provides this summary, I will call on the individual regional directors or their representatives to present the project items from their regions. Edwin?
Thank you. Good morning. Today the directors will be requested to consider funding for 10 discretionary projects, including one minority and women-owned business development and lending program grant for $562,500, one Buffalo Billion Initiative grant for $6,700,000, 6 Regional Council Capital Fund grants totaling $2,755,000, and 2 Connect New York grants totaling $434,535. These projects will take place across 8 New York State regions and will leverage over $20 million of additional investment in diverse areas, including a matching grant program for early-stage technology, brownfield redevelopment, facade improvements, and zoo infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Ray Salabarios, ESD's Senior Director of Economic Revitalization, will now present an item relating to the Bridge to Success loan program for the director's consideration. Ray?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. In November 2013, Governor Cuomo announced the creation of the Bridge to Success loan program to expand access to short-term bridge loans for New York State minority and women-owned business enterprises. The purpose of the Bridge to Success is to provide lending support to MWB contractors who need the working capital necessary to execute on state contracts. In February of this year, the directors approved of the $2.25 million in loan loss reserves to support the $15 million in short-term mobilization loans for 4 participating lenders. The mobilization loans will typically be under $200,000 with terms in 2 years and would support $100 million in state contracts. ESD is partnering with these lenders who have agreed to provide short-term working capital loans to New York State certified MWB contractors. The loan loss reserve will be 15% of the agreed-upon lenders pool. The loan loss reserve pool will be made available to lenders in agreed-upon series of payments. Today, the directors are requested to add Carver Bancorp, Carver, as an additional lender to the Bridge Success pool. Carver has been designated by the U.S. Treasury Department as a community development financial institution because of its community-focused banking services and dedication to the economic viability and revitalization of underserved neighborhoods. Carver will focus lending activities in the 5 boroughs of New York City. We're requesting then a new addition of $562,500 to establish a loan loss reserve for Carver Bancorp. Thank you. If I have any questions, I'll answer.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Any questions, comments from the directors? Any comments from the public? Comments? Yeah, Will?
Just, Ray, could you just tell us how the program is going so far in terms of the previous, the lenders we already have on board?
Sure. Right now, with the signing of GDAs and getting everyone on board to move the program, it took us a little while to get started. So if you take these numbers starting from April of this past year, we've done 23 loans at $2.9 million. We have a pipeline now of about $1.8 million, which is, moving along. And we've been very successful in getting the word out. We've been going out, talking to the prime contractors of the state of New York. We believe the primes are key, as they're the ones who are going to hire the subs. So we've had conversations with at least 10 primes throughout the state. They have agreed to, disseminate this information to their MWB subcontractors. So we expect this to move along pretty good.
And how does the program work so far in terms of repayment?
Well, so far no one has gone bad on a loan, which is a good thing.
It's pretty new, though.
Yeah, it's pretty new. I think what we've done, though, is incentivize the banks to take a little more risk. So there are some more risk involved. We
Yeah,
also
because they're backed up here. Yeah.
We also added a carrot that any New York State agency or authority is going to issue a two-party check payable to the bank and to the sub. So now the bank has funds control and loss reserve, so we expect them to continue moving forward with the program.
But if the losses exceed the reserve, who's on the hook for that piece?
The bank is going to be
The
on the
bank is
hook.
on the hook.
So they're still doing the underwriting.
But each one's committed $3.7 million in lending, and they have a $560,000 reserve. That's a lot of money for them to lose. I mean,
Yeah, 15% is a big reserve.
right.
Very good.
Thanks, Ray.
Any other questions? Great. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. The motion carries. Thank you. Michael Ball, representing ESD's Western New York Regional Office, will now ask the directors to authorize ESD to make a grant to the Buffalo Urban Development Corporation. Michael.
Good morning. Good morning from Buffalo. So the ESD directors are requested to approve a $6.7 million grant from the Buffalo Regional Innovation Cluster Capital Grant Fund to the Buffalo Urban Development Corporation. This project is a signature initiative of the Buffalo Billion Investment Development Plan to acquire and ultimately remediate 50 acres of vacant or underutilized industrial land and renovate 3 buildings totaling 389,000 square feet within the Northland Avenue Beltline corridor to promote smart growth and economic development. The $6.7 million project includes the acquisition of vacant, underutilized industrial properties to ultimately establish a commerce center that will attract new companies and employment opportunities to what is an economically disadvantaged neighborhood on the east side of the city of Buffalo. The project also includes engineering, environmental investigations, and real estate feasibility studies to determine the condition of the properties, what their highest and best use is, environmental remediation plans, and then, if necessary, renovation strategies, infrastructure improvements, and long-term redevelopment plan for the entire group of properties will take place. The corridor is an industrial, commercial, and residential neighborhood, which is what we see a lot of here in older cities like Buffalo. And it is one of the most extensive industrial areas in terms of its size and density on Buffalo's east side. As a result, the project, the repurposing of this former industrial land, and combined with the City of Buffalo's potential to invest in the existing assets and infrastructure, will provide much-needed land for industrial development, which is currently in short supply, and will connect what is now a disadvantaged community with the new and accessible employment cluster. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments from the directors?
How polluted is it?
We know that it's polluted, but exactly how much is part of what we're going to understand as a part of this process.
All right, good.
Fair answer. Any other questions? Any comments from the public? No? Not? Could I get a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
Now
you.
I will ask James. Is there a question? Now I will ask James Fail, the director of the Central New York Regional Office, to present the Syracuse University Corridor Facade Improvement Project. Jim, you ready? Hello, Jim.
Hello, Syracuse.
No?
right, can
Can I
you
go
hear
to
me?
the next one? Oh,
hear
are
me
you
now?
there?
All right, there you go.
Sorry about that. I had you on mute.
Okay.
This morning, the directors are being asked to approve two grants for the connective corridor. One for $250,000, and the other for $200,000 for a facade improvement loan program that connects Syracuse University, which is known as the Hill, down to downtown Syracuse. Grants are provided up to $25,000 to businesses along this route to improve the facades. The total program is a $495,000 program. This is basically one of the largest public works projects in Syracuse, this whole connective corridor concept. It encompasses about a 4-mile area. And as I said, it basically is to improve the connectivity along and streetscapes from the Syracuse University down into the downtown area. And I'd be glad to take any questions.
Very good, thank you, Jim. Are there any questions or comments from the directors? Comments from the public? Okay, I'd like a motion to approve.
Move.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The motion carries. Now I will ask John Vanderloo, representing ESD's North Country Regional Office, to present an item related to the Lewis County Development Corporation for the director's consideration. John?
Good morning, directors. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Clear.
I don't know, what are we doing?
The
We start earlier?
The directors are asked to approve a grant to Lewis County Development Corporation of up to $330,000 to be used for a portion of environmental survey, engineering, permitting, and redevelopment planning costs. The project is at Center Street, Lions Falls, in Lewis County. It's for pre-construction costs to redevelop a 9.4-acre brownfield site. The project is consistent with the North Country Regional Economic Development Council plan to attract additional private investment, create jobs, and expand economic development in the North Country communities. The total project cost is $495,000. Without ESD assistance, this project would not be possible. The Lewis County Development Corporation has completed the preparation of a 9.4-acre industrial brownfield site for future use as a modern commercial industrial park. Environmental survey work has been completed, engineering plans have been prepared, and required permits have been obtained. The site is now ready to proceed with the safe demolition of existing derelict industrial mill buildings. And that is what I have for that. I will entertain any questions, and I believe there may be a photo included.
There is, thank you.
Questions or comments from the directors? No, any comments from the public? So I'd like a motion to approve.
Move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks to all.
Now Barry Greenspan, representing ESD's Long Island Regional Office, will present the Stony Brook University Small Business Development Center Regional Council Awards for the director's consideration. Barry.
Thank you, and good morning to all. The directors are being asked to approve a $1.5 million grant for the SBIR, that's the Small Business Innovation Research Matching Grant Program, which will provide ESD matching grants to winners of federal small business innovation research grants. The federal SBIR program provides grants ranging from $50,000 to $250,000 and are offered to small businesses by numerous federal agencies. They're aimed at advancing federal research efforts and also to spur technology commercialization efforts nationwide. This project originated from the Long Island Regional Council's Innovation Work Group and was deemed a regional priority project by the Council. The goal is to advance the region's technology commercialization efforts, but also to leverage our regional research assets like Stony Brook, Cold Spring Harbor Labs, and Brookhaven National Lab. It was noted by several in the research field that many companies do apply for these federal research grants, but they lack the working capital to actually undertake and to buy lab equipment and to renovate lab space. So this program will allow them, a modest up to a 20% grant to provide that kind of research laboratory equipment and also to renovate the lab space. The project will be administered by Stony Brook University's Small Business Development Center and the Research Foundation. ESD funds of up to $1.5 million will reimburse individual companies for equipment and renovation costs of up to 20%, but no more than $50,000 for a single company. And our funds can only be used for capital costs such as equipment and facility upgrades. We believe this unique initiative will encourage more fledgling research companies to seek federal funding, and that greatly accelerates their chances of product commercialization and early success, creating high-wage jobs in New York State. The SBIR matching grant program is also integrated into a regional effort to provide business training to early-stage research companies. It's anticipated that some of these promising companies may later apply for venture capital funding from ESD's program, the Small Business Technology Investment Fund. And if that does happen, it allows New York State to share in these companies' success. We expect this $1.5 million investment to leverage an additional $6 million in private investment. Regional Council member Dr. Sam Stanley, Stony Brook University's president, recused himself from voting on this project. ESD is prepared to make the initial disbursement of $450,000 to Stony Brook University so that they have funds on hand to commence the program. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions.
Thanks, Barry. Sounds like a nice program. Any questions or comments from the directors? Comments from the public? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The motion carries. Robin Alpal, representing ESDC's Southern Tier Regional Office, will now present an item relating to the Arbor Housing and Development Regional Council Awards. Please begin, Robin.
Yes, good morning from downtown Binghamton. The directors are being requested to approve a Round 2 Priority Project Grant for the Southern Tier in the amount of $450,000 to Arbor Housing and Development for a portion of the cost to renovate a vacant 17,000 square foot building in Steuben County that will serve as additional office space for Arbor Housing, as well as 4,400 square feet of commercial space for a tenant whom Arbor is working to select as we speak. Arbor Housing and Development provides a wide continuum of services to almost 2,000 low-income and moderate-income households across several counties, which include community revitalization, home buyer education, home ownership, and financial counseling and home buyer grants. Arbor Housing and Development currently employs a total of 100 people within its offices, which are located in Allegheny, Livingston, and Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. This company is committed to creating 8 new jobs, 6 of which have already been created. This project is consistent with the Southern Tier Regional Plan to strengthen economic development in the Southern Tier region using private sector investment to revitalize our neighborhoods and renovate deteriorating and vacant commercial space. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Robin. Any questions from or comments from the directors? Comments from the public? Very good. So I would like a motion to approve.
Move.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Michael Ball is up again, and this time he will present the Buffalo Zoo Arctic Edge Regional Council Awards.
Good morning again. So ESD directors are requested to approve a $750,000 capital grant from the New York Works program to the Zoological Society of Buffalo. The zoo is the most visited tourist attraction in Erie County, offering year-round exhibits of approximately 1,000 endangered and domestic animals, lots of fundraising events, and enriching educational programming. It's the largest in New York State and the third largest in the United States. The $11.6 million project involves the demolition of the existing polar bear pits and construction of the new state-of-the-art 60,000 square foot Arctic Edge exhibit with large saltwater pools, natural landscapes, and an underwater viewing area. The exhibit will replicate the snowy frozen climate of the Arctic Circle, because believe it or not, it's not winter all year in Buffalo, and will include 2 large enclosures to house polar bears and 3 smaller enclosures to feature animals such as the Arctic wolf, the Canadian lynx, North American bald eagles, and which will illustrate the diversity of species that have adapted to life in this harsh climate. The project will ensure a safe and naturalistic habitat for wildlife and will enable the zoo to maintain and expand its visitor base and donation income and increase local, national, and worldwide exposure as a tourist destination. Thank you.
So the Buffalo Zoo is the largest zoo in New York State?
That's correct.
All right, didn't know that.
That was news to me.
Very good. So, any questions or comments from the directors? Comments from the public? Okay, is there a
Move.
motion to approve? Is there a
Move.
second?
I am firmly in
favor.
support of polar bears in Buffalo.
Exactly.
Not my backyard, but in Buffalo.
I'll second that.
Well, I guess we have to go through and vote for this anyway, though, even though... All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the zoo in Buffalo. Edwin Lee will now present the September Regional Council Awards Project Consent Calendar. Edwin?
Thank you. There's one project on the consent calendar this month. The directors are requested to approve a $25,000 grant to the Strand Theater of Old Forge Incorporated. The Strand Theater was built in 1923 as a single screen silent film theater. Today, the theater has 4 screens and is one of 2 theaters in Herkimer County. The theater had been showing movies using traditional 35mm film and film equipment. However, the gradual phasing out of film movies to digital projection, the Strand Theater needed to upgrade its equipment to remain operational. ESD's funds will be used for a portion of the cost of this new equipment. In April this year, the theater invested $300,000 and completed its conversion to modern digital projection. Thank you.
Very good. Questions, comments from the directors? Comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you very much. We're going to step out of order here, and next we're going to go to ask Brendan Healy to present item 4A, which relates to the New York State New Farmers Grant Fund. Brendan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I'm here this morning to present the New York State New Farmers Grant Fund program. The fiscal year 2014-2015 New York State budget appropriated $614,000 for the New York State New Farmers Grant Fund program. The intent is to encourage the consideration of farming as a career, which will result in the growth of agribusiness and tax revenues for the state. The program will be administered by ESD in consultation with New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. ESD and Ag and Markets prepared guidelines for administration of the program, including criteria for eligibility, application procedures, and disbursement terms. Eligibility includes those that own or lease a New York State farm not more than 150 acres, have not been involved in farming for more than 10 consecutive years, will substantially contribute to agricultural production, demonstrate innovative agricultural techniques, which can include organic farming, specialty crops, as well as other techniques, and is a legally formed business. Grants will range between $15,000 and $50,000 and will be capped at up to 50% of total project costs. Project costs can include will be for capital assistance for items such as machinery and equipment, construction and expansion of farm building systems, plants, seeds, fertilizer, and lease costs for machinery and equipment. We're anticipating a minimum of 12 awards and could be as many as approximately 40 awards. We're anticipating that applications are going to be due around the beginning of 2015. We're going to be rolling out the program very shortly. The applications, once they are received, they will be reviewed. Again, it's a competitive process. Preference may be given to those who have secured matching funds, demonstrate need, strength of the project, and as well as likelihood to succeed, and education as well as experience. Grant funds are going to be dispersed upon project completion. So requested actions of the directors, we're asking directors to authorize the program, adopt program guidelines, and authorize the president and CEO of ESD to amend such guidelines from time to time if needed. Delegate the authority to the president and CEO to award grants and take any necessary action required under the UDC Act and other applicable law and regulations. Take any related actions necessary to effectuate the program, including public hearings, and to act on behalf of the corporation to affirm, modify, or withdraw any contemplated assistance as a result of any testimony given at such hearing, if applicable. So again, looking for the board to approve those items, and happy to take any questions.
Well, you're giving the president a lot of authority here. He's not here, so maybe. All right, sounds good. Any questions or comments from the board?
And I think it's admirable, but it's a little, I wish it was a little bit more money with a little bit higher threshold. It's you know, it's a great idea, but you start putting any plow to earth, it's costly, and I'm not sure how much this is going to cover, but it's a good start.
Absolutely, and again, I think part of the way we're looking at it is it was an appropriation in the fiscal year 14-15 budget. You know, and if we do see a lot of much more demand than we can dole out assistance for, it can be something we look at in the future.
It's almost too small to move the needle. That's the sad thing about it. But it's a start, and I think what we got to do is try to see how we can get greater funding for this. Sure. You know, we put a lot of money in a lot of things, and the great thing about farms is they don't move.
Can't outsource it.
Good employment, good land use, and it's food security. So I think that we've got to keep. And the governor and the state has done a much better job on agriculture than any of the previous governors since Hugh Carey was governor. And I think that this is a good start. But if we could quadruple this and quadruple the size, it would be better. So I hope that we can start moving the needle on this. And I think we got to monitor this thing, because I think that's the key to it, is getting the needle moving.
Absolutely. And again, I agree that I think that results of looking at how many applications we receive, I think would be some firepower to really back up, see what demand is truly out there.
You almost have firepower either way, because if it's not big enough to put the needle, then you got to enhance it. But if you get a lot of demand, then you got to enhance it. So either way, you're going to have to enhance it. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes. But it's a good start, but it's. I wish it was a little bit more robust, but like I said, it's a start.
Yeah.
I just have a question about the flexibility of the directors. I'm sort of assuming approval is coming based on the question, and that relates to the current way that you described it would be the money would be advanced post completion of the project. And I'm curious how the working capital works for the farmers, what was anticipated in the design of that, or if that's a necessary condition of how we... I know that's how we typically do things. I'm just curious, given the farmers and the size of the farming business unit. So in other words, if I'm a farmer and I get a $50,000 grant that I need to build my building, where do I get the cash to build the building?
Generally the bank.
So are we tying ourselves into a bank then?
A bank, or for instance in the southern tier we have We have funded STREDEC, the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Corporation, which also has an agricultural loan fund. So in theory, they could take a loan out from ESD money, and then we could grant them the money, and then purchase the equipment. So there are other, especially for small businesses like this, almost every region has some kind of small economic development organization that's doing little loans like this. So they may not necessarily go to a bank for a $50,000
Right,
or $100,000 piece of equipment.
Right. So then part of our rollout of this will be to partner up with all of those organizations.
Absolutely. We've already been discussing just, obviously getting the word out as much as possible, various advocacy groups, various oriented business groups that, and I would expect, those type of entities as well will include in the outreach, just getting the word out.
I just hope it does something. I just hope it does something. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
So any other questions or comments from the board? Comments from the public? Not? Motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Lennon McCleary will now present the September non-discretionary project consent calendar. Lennon?
Thank you and good morning. This month we have one project. This is a modification to a $125,000 grant to Griffiths Local Development Corporation, or GLDC, originally approved by the directors in May of 2012 for rehabilitation, abatement, engineering, and marketing activities at the Griffiths Business and Technology Park. GLDC is seeking to reallocate the balance of the grant, which is approximately $85,000, to be applied to the acquisition of Building 40, which is a former Air Force research base that was deemed as excess property by the Air Force. GLDC acquired the property through the General Services Administration through an auction and will stabilize the building for future development. This action does not request the authorization of any new funding. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Questions or comments from the directors? Comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second. Is there a second? Is there then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Steve Golick from ESD's Western New York Regional Office will now present a land bank item for your approval. Steve?
Thank you. Today the board is being asked to authorize a land bank to be formed by the city of Troy. The program was established in 2011 and permits municipalities to form a not-for-profit corporation whose purpose is to acquire real property that is primarily tax delinquent, vacant, abandoned, and with the hope of putting it back to productive use. One sentence in the statute requires ESD to approve land bank applications before the municipality can incorporate their not-for-profit. Originally, the statute permitted the state, or it permitted 10 land banks to be created in the state. That was recently amended to increase the number to 20. Back in November of 2011, the ESD board adopted guidelines, and we've been accepting applications for land bank. To date, we have 9 land banks approved and up and running in New York State. City of Troy came in and submitted an application. Staff have reviewed the application, and it has shown that there is a significant problem with vacant, abandoned, and tax foreclosed properties in the city that could be subject to land bank control. So based on what they've submitted, their implementation plan, funding, and in-kind services presented in the application, it's recommended that the City of Troy be approved for a land bank. We think they've made a pretty strong application, and therefore we're recommending that they be approved. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Questions or comments from the directors? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The Motion carries. Next, Howard Kramer will present an amendment to the BBDO contract for the director's consideration. Howard?
Yes, good morning. The board is being requested to authorize a $25 million amendment to its existing BBDO USA LLC contract. The directors will recall that in November 2011, the corporation was authorized to enter into a contract for up to $50 million with BBDO, pursuant to which BBDO is now serving ESD and the state of New York as its full-service advertising and marketing branding firm, particularly in connection with the Open for Business program. As previously communicated to the board, the Open for Business program is primarily designed to market New York State as an ideal place for businesses to invest and create jobs. The original $50 million BBDO contract has been amended 3 times, and its cap is now $186,500,000. Most of this contract limit has been spent or committed. The $25 million increase to the contract currently being requested will allow the corporation to continue its marketing efforts of the Open for Business program. Funding for the $25 million amendment has been secured from NYPA and is currently in-house. The scope of work and BBDO's fees and compensation arrangement will remain exactly the same. This amendment, once approved by the board, would subsequently need the approval of the Office of State Controller. In short, the directors are being asked to amend the existing contract with BBDO by $25 million, bringing the contract from $186,500,000 to up to $211,500,000. Thank you.
Howard, I assume this number also includes all the expenses in connection with the media buys.
Correct.
Yeah, this is like a huge number. So.
Yeah.
Well, actually, out of the approximately $175 million that has been committed, $140 million is for media.
Right.
So it's about 80%.
Right. Okay. Sounds better. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Is it working?
I'll leave that to Howard.
I now defer to Rich Newman. You arrived just in time.
Come to the table.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rich Newman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Marketing and State Strategy, and oversee the...
Speak up there, Rick.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, there you go.
Is that good?
You can move it. There you go. Good deal.
How's that?
That's excellent.
Excellent. So I oversee the Open for Business spending, and the answer to your question is an unqualified yes. It is working extremely well. We have an enormous amount of data that supports that contention. First and foremost, the objective of the program that we promote, primarily Open for Business, which is directed at attracting businesses to New York State or to expand in New York State, primarily under the Startup New York program, and the development of the tourism industry in New York State. The metrics we measure are website visits to the ilovenewyork.com site and startupnewyork.gov. Startupnewyork.gov also generates leads for us to follow up on with various ESD personnel, SBD, and local regional personnel. We also measure the perception of the state and how that perception has changed. So over the past 2 years, when we have run advertising, the Startup New York website visits increase about 600% during the time frames when we're on air, as opposed to the time frames when we're not on air. At the same time, the shift in perception of New York State as an appropriate place to do business has increased significantly. Most importantly, research that was done by an outside firm indicates that the consideration of New York State as a place to do business, which has been high because of the Open for Business initial advertising that ran in 2011 and 2012, increased 14 base points from the beginning of Startup New York advertising to March of 2014, which is when we last did the study. And we are now only 2 points behind Texas, which is the leader in terms of a consideration of the state to go do business.
Good.
That's great.
On the I Love New York side, we have Obviously, significant growth in tourism, about plus 4%. We also have a significant increase in jobs that are tourism-related, over 900,000 jobs this past August, which is a record-breaking amount of jobs in the leisure and hospitality industry. The advertising also significantly correlates with visits to the I Love New York website. Not as dramatic as startup because, of course, people are always looking for vacations. So when the advertising's on, it increases about 60% in terms of website visits. In addition, the tracking research we've done on the I Love New York campaign indicates that we have New York State as a destination, about 60% of contiguous state tourists as well as in-state tourists, which is a very high number, and we'll be tracking that moving forward to them. So our conclusion is that the internal metrics, the website visits, the preference for New York State are growing at a very positive rate, as well as the ultimate business goals of increases in tourism spending, as well as the leads that we're generating in Startup New York, which are beginning to translate into jobs.
Good. So I have a question for you. Do you have any way of measuring how many foreign tourists who come to not New York City, but to New York State? Is there a way?
Yes, we do. We are actually, part of our partnership agreement with NYC & Co. is actually to begin to share some of the data, because they collect an enormous amount of data on in-state travel for international tourists.
Right.
So we do have some indication that we are getting a reasonable number of, about 1.5 million, I believe is the most recent number, of international tourists outside of New York City, out of the 10 million international tourists that come into.
That's annual.
That is annually, that is correct.
Hello?
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions or comments from the board? Comments from the public? Thank you. That was a very good presentation.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you very much.
Comments from the public? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you. The motion carries. Howard, you got your money.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good.
I'll go spend it more.
Not your money.
I understand.
You have something to count.
Good. Make sure we get that in there.
Fun, yeah, right.
All right. At this time, I'll ask Dave Salway to present item 3G, the broadband program item for the director's consideration. Dave?
Supposed to be on the phone who was traveling.
So what do we do? Just put that off till next...
We can give them a little more time and go forward with the information item.
All right, then we can come back to it.
Do you want us to vote on it? It seems totally justifiable when you look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we should move on it.
We'll ask the general counsel. Can we do that?
I mean, you can,
I mean, the materials are in here?
Yeah, we've read,
when you read the materials, it's pretty self-explanatory, you
You
know?
want me to say something about it real quick?
Yeah, I would say, Susan, would you, I mean, you or the
Sure.
project manager have just a few words?
So, you know from Dave's presentations before that we've set up this broadband program. It's been funded through several different ways, some through a fund called New York Works, which was done exclusively for broadband, and then some through the regional councils, which had dedicated some of their regional council funds to broadband. So Dave's team is managing all of those so that we're consistent in our expectations and our metrics over the course of the program. I think at this point almost everything has come to the board and the projects are underway. This is probably the tail end of that first round of funding. And we will continue to have some more projects come in that were awarded through the regional council last year up in the North Country. And so these two are in Heart of the Catskills, with the Margaretville Telephone Company, and the second one is in Seneca and Schuyler counties.
Great. Questions from the comments from the board?
No, I wish we could do all of it all at once.
Great minds think alike.
I mean, think about it. Think about everybody here at this table. You got something on your hip that's got, or your purse or your wallet that you're using all your day, and it's just. Although Elizabeth's having a problem with her pen. But, this is great.
Little check.
Move.
All right, is there any other questions or comments from the board, public? No?
Move.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Very good. Motion carries. Steve Cohen, present the MWBE procurement report. Mr. Cohen, this is an informational item only. So, Rob, you don't need to vote on this.
Oh, okay. I'll go to sleep now.
Thanks very much and good morning. For your information this morning, we have the first quarter utilization report for minority and women business enterprises for ESDC. We do this every quarter. This is for the first quarter of the fiscal year. During that quarter, we dispersed $159 million, actually almost $160 million. And of that, there were $22.2 million in payments reported to MWBEs, which accounts for 13.9% of those disbursements. This is shy of the utilization for last year, which was approximately 20%, but there's a reason for that. The reason is related to 3 projects. So 2 of those projects are advance payments on to grants. That totals actually $54 million. So the utilization will catch up to those disbursements over the subsequent quarters. And the third item is a large contract, marketing contract, where disbursements total $35.6 million and utilization was approximately 3.5. There will be some additional utilization that we already know about, which will be reported during the second quarter, and we're continuing to work with that vendor to increase utilization on that contract. If you took out those 3 contracts, the utilization would be 26.37%. So I think we're relatively confident that the numbers will catch up in subsequent quarters. However, we will be monitoring that closely to ensure that the yearly utilization does not slip year over year. And that's the first quarter report.
Very good. Questions, anybody?
Very helpful. Great.
Thanks. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Move.
Pursuant to paragraph D and F of Section 105 of the New York State Open Meetings Law. Specifically, we will discuss and consider authorizing ESD to enter into a contract for legal services in connection with a case called HCDC, an action pending in the Southern District of New York, and Solomon-Norman versus HCDC, a charge filed with the EEOC. So if we could have a motion to go into executive session.
Moved.
Second? Okay, very
Second.
good.
Yes, second. Sorry.
We're now in executive session. Okay. I will note for this record that no votes were taken during the executive session. Now may I have a motion on the contract for the legal services item that was considered an executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The motion carries. Now is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
We're done.